Good evening again, Realty Pros, and welcome back to our first hybrid training of 2022. We are so excited to be able to get back into the office despite everything that's happened and bring our trainings both virtually and in person. So welcome to those of you who've joined us virtually, and welcome to those of our agents that are in the office. We are excited. Are you guys excited this evening?
I am.
Awesome. And as always, it's interactive. So feel free, unmute yourselves, jump in, put messages in the chat, be very much a part of the conversation. Today, we are just piggybacking on what we talked about on Porterhouse Realty Talks today. The last portion of that conversation, Mr. Porter was talking about prospecting, and that is what we're talking about this evening. We're talking about prospecting as a form of our marketing. And you're prospecting from a certain perspective that we talked about on Realty Talks today costs you absolutely nothing, okay? The second part of our training this evening, I'm going to reserve some time for questions about the business plan. The business plans are going to be due on the 15th, so I want to make sure we give any attention that you guys need to answer those questions or to dive more deeply into any part of the business plan that you feel you need help with, all right? Is there anybody that has any questions about anything right offhand? All right. Well, I'm going to ask you guys a question to get us started. What do you think the most productive source of leads are? What is your most productive source of leads? The ones that are going to give you your highest return on investment. This lead source. Can you guys hear Darlene? Can you guys hear Darlene?
I can hear.
She said your sphere of influence, the people you know. Okay, so that is a definite yes. Your referrals that you get from your sphere of influence, those are your most powerful leads from that lead source. It is the absolute best, and it's going to give you the highest return on your investment. Angela, I am going to include you in this conversation, so you can unmute yourself when you can, because you and I had the pleasure of being able to talk about this as we were going through your business plan this evening. Angela, when you get a chance, unmute yourself. Awesome. All right, now we're going to have you talking a little bit, Angela, because you got a head start on this. So for 2021, when you were able to look at your sources of leads for the clients that you closed, where did you say all of your leads came from? You have your audio connected? You can drop it in the chat if you're having trouble. Drop it in the chat and I'll go ahead, no worries. But in our time today, when we were going over the business planning, we were just uncovering what we're going to do this evening. We're going to look at your business from 2021 and say, where did these people come from? The transactions that you closed, where did they come from? Because in this year of progression, we're going to be looking to progress in those areas, right? We can add something to it, but we want to make sure that we nurture wherever that source is that provided you with the leads that you got settlements from last year, okay? So let me ask you guys, for your clients that you had in 2021, where did they come from? And anybody you can throw out where those lead sources were?
Jasmine, can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. I can hear you now.
So what we talked about earlier, it was mostly former clients and referrals from former clients.
Spot on. How about for you, Darlene? Your clients from 2021, where did they come from? All right. How about you, Talita? 2021, where did your clients come from?
It was my family.
There you go. That's your sphere of influence. There you go. And just so that we are all confident with that term, your sphere of influence is everybody you know, and even the friends and family members of those that you know. So some of those are your friends that you just haven't met yet. There you go. So that can be a mother of your child's, friend, colleague, former colleague, or whoever that is. Those are people that you are able to capture, if you will. Those are people that you're able to have conversations with. You're able to get their information, put it into your marketing, and actually reach out to them. Those are people that already know, like, and trust you, or know you through somebody else that they know, like, and trust. And with your referrals, your referral-based business has a much higher conversion rate than just your general prospecting, in a sense. Because your referral-based business, that's going to give you 50% likelihood that they're going to close with you, versus just maybe your marketing that's going out to people in general per se is going to be effective, but much higher is the return on investment from your referral business. All right, Joy, question for you. Your clients for 2021, where did they come from? Okay, and that's something that I want for excellent. Excellent. So the ones that came from your sphere of influence, contrast those with the ones that you made calls with which of those were most productive? Most productive. Did they close? All the ones that I got. Excellent. Excellent. So Joy said that her business, her clients for 2021 came from her sphere of influence and the people that she was cold calling. Okay. Why am I saying this? Because we've been talking about an hour to an hour of a day worth of prospecting that we need to do. But the question is, where are we going to begin that prospecting, right? And where you want to begin with the source of business that you've already gotten business from in the year before. And you want to hyper focus on that, right? So whatever your content, if you have maybe, I don't know if you have 200, 500, 700, 2,000 contacts, start there with your prospecting. So you're making your 10 calls daily, your 10 text messages on a daily basis. That's where you're going to start. And then with wherever your goal is for your farming, your prospect marketing for 2022, you're going to add on contacts from that source to it. What do I mean by that? Does anybody know what I mean by that? Angela, I'm going to call on you because we had this conversation. And if you're multitasking, forgive me, you may as well keep it on mute because I'm going to keep calling on you.
That's fine. Can you repeat it, Jasmine?
Sure. So we're talking about dividing our prospecting, right? We're talking about layering the most important people first. The most important segment of your prospect is going to be devoted to a lead source that has been most productive for you in 2021. So that was your sphere of influence. Sphere of influence and referrals, that's where the vast majority of you that are on here said that your leads came from. So if you have to call 10 people per day, then you want to start with that sphere of influence. In addition to that, you're going to add on some more people to that. So you're continuing to build your book of business. So the lead source that you're going to add on to your sphere of influence, the question becomes, where is that going to come from? Where do you guys want that to come from?
Well, we had talked about, areas that we wanted to target, our target market.
Yep, both of you are saying the same thing at the same time. Both of you, your farming and your target market. There you go. Elaborate on that just a little bit more for me. I'm going to have Darlene tip. I'm going to let Darlene go ahead and elaborate. No. Okay. How are you adding that to your process? You don't know. That is a very good question. Angela, Darlene is asking how you add on prospects when you're farming and you don't know those individuals. Can you weigh in from the conversation that you and I had earlier?
Of course. I guess it depends on your target market, whether you want to, it can be the area that you're targeting, whether it be door knocking, we have resources available to us to get some of the phone numbers for some of these areas that we're, that we want to prospect. It can be an open house in that area. You can go there you can go to a street maybe that has an open house, and then, you can go to the neighbors actually and then say, hey, anything that draws you to your target market, you can find multiple reasons to go to them and to reach out to them. We had talked about Bright MLS has some resources where we can get contacts. I think it's from Remind. But those are just a few.
Yes. So Remind, HomeSnap, and RPR, all of those provide telephone numbers. Most of them provide telephone numbers and email addresses. So once you located your farm area in your target market for 2022, then that's where you want to focus on adding new contacts to your book of business from. So as Angela was saying, you can reach out to those people. So first of all, come up with your farm area, which most of us already has, with your target market within that farm area, maybe several subdivisions. Make sure you have at least 500 to 1,000 homes so that you can choose from. Now you take that, and then we're going to start looking at that information to pull cell phone numbers and email addresses for clients. And then you're going to start cold calling on those sellers. You already have their information, you put them in your book of business, then you start calling them and you add them to that list of your referral network that you're going to start reaching on a daily basis. Does that make sense to everybody? Somebody reiterate it for me. I need to make sure everybody is all on one accord.
Basically, like for me, I'm thinking once my mission that I had.
Mhm.
So the I assign tomorrow. So I will order my card
Mhm.
and farm neighborhood.
Mhm.
Right, doesn't it when I
Yes, you can request it.
right,
Request to
so
have a
I'll do
copy of
that
the addresses.
information, and then I will add those addresses,
Yes.
and then I even knock on the door and do full card to,
Yes. So you just said something that I want to highlight. Darlene is talking about a closed sale. When you have a listing or a closed sale, those are segues into conversation for every one of those homeowners in that community. Now you have something in common with them, right? Now you have information that they want. And many of them actually need to know how their property stacks up against the other property. So you can literally market the same closed sale over and over with different postcard campaigns. You can market it on social media. You can market it by, hey, just wanted to give you guys a call the entire neighborhood. My name is Darlene Bridges, Porterhouse International Realty Group. I just sold property such and such and such. Have a list of buyers that are interested in purchasing in the area. Wanted to see if you ever thought about selling your home. Are you in the market? Are you looking to sell your home? Do you know what your home is worth? I'd be happy to provide you with a free home, a free comparative market analysis for your home. Are you interested? And you just have those conversations with people. Yep. Welcome, Rhonda. What do you guys think?
Hello, everyone.
Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
You are welcome. I'm excited with our hybrid platform going on here in the office and online. It's able to bring everybody together. So Talita, what do you think about what we just shared in terms of, marketing to some of the communities that you've sold to? Any sale, you can market that thing into oblivion over and over again. You always have a foot in that community because you have a closed sale and or a listing in that community. What are your thoughts about that, Talita?
I didn't know that we can do the same home on different advertisements.
Mhm.
So that's something that I'll be doing.
Definitely. So one of the strategies is, go ahead, Rhonda, you have something?
Sorry. Yeah, I have a question. Is it okay or is it not appropriate? I'm thinking it's okay because it's all porterhouse.
Mhm.
Is it okay that, let's just say, Talita sold a home. Is it okay? I mean, obviously not as our individual own, but just as Porterhouse, is it okay to advertise any sales from Porterhouse?
So all of our agents can advertise Porterhouse sales. So all of you can market that. You can market Porterhouse just listed. You can market Porterhouse just sold. If it's actively being listed by one of your colleagues, you want to give them a call and give them the courtesy of saying, hey, I see you have this just listed. What area are you going to market to? So that you can market to a different area than they are. Just give your colleagues the courtesy of that call so that you guys can coordinate.
Okay.
Like on the courthouse site, where the
We will make sure that you guys have that this year. So you'll be able to see the sold, you'll be able to see the listing, you'll be able to see the coming soon. Yep. They do, but with iHouse, they make you do each individual agent's ID versus them doing it for the whole brokerage. So we got to make sure that each one of you, as you have listings, your agent ID is added there so that it'll pull up all of your listings. Yep, that was a great question. Does that make sense to you guys? Yep. So at
Yes.
any given point, whenever, if that listing sold 6 months ago, hey, just sold. But even more so, as a expert in that community, if that's your farm area, you should be looking at what that marketing is doing anyway. So for any 3-month period, you should be able to say, okay, within my farm area, within this subdivision, I know the properties that have sold. And as long as it is a sold comp, you can market all sold comps. It doesn't even have to be a Porterhouse sold comp. The ones that are being actively listed must be Porterhouse, the ones that are active, right, and coming soon. But if it's sold, that's public information. So you can market that to your community because it may be one Porterhouse property. It may be, several other properties from different real estate companies, but you want to show yourself as the resource and the neighborhood expert. So you can absolutely market either Porterhouse or other just sold listing properties. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Or is that new information to anybody?
That's new to me.
There you go.
If
If it's sold, then you can sold. Do you know what your home is worth? And you can send those out. I think I'm not 100% certain. I got to look back at it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? All right. So the next, in terms of your sphere of influence, this source for your referrals, let's dissect where that's going to come from. In your sphere of influence, where can you go for your source of referrals, right? So we're talking about beginning to call 10 people on a daily basis. Where can you begin? So if you're building up your book of business by adding people to your phone and you say, okay, where do I start? There's so many people. How do I know where to start? Where would you guys
contact?
So Rhonda, you said constant contact. Joy, you said your cell phone. Both of you are right at different times. You're going to start with your cell phone and you're going to end with putting them in constant contact. Okay. So how do you add people from your sphere of influence into your book of business? This is an easy one because I kind of just gave it away. I want to make sure that that's clear to everybody. That is how simple it is to add people from your sphere of influence, and now they're a part of your book of business. Because everybody in your book of business, you have their email address, you have their telephone number, you may have an anniversary or a birthday, you may have a property address, so you have information so that you can market to them. So the important piece is to pull people from your sphere of influence into your book of business so that you have an ever-growing book of business, right? In your sphere of influence, again, that's all the people that you've ever met or people that are directly connected to people that you know and you could meet by an introduction, okay? So some sources for growing our sphere of influence in our book of business, that could be the hair salon, that could be our child's school, that could be, name some places. Church, grocery store, dentist.
Pretty much any place that you do business. If you do business with someone and you're giving someone your business, it should be no reason why you can't ask for theirs.
There you go. Other business partners. There you go. Keep going, because it's just children's events. Give us some to listen.
I would say church, but a lot of places we can't go anymore, which is my problem. Can't go anymore.
Think about the places where you can go, and the places you can't go, you can call. So the places that you can actually go, name some of those places.
Well, I do go to work, so I can definitely start there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Angela, you unmuted yourself. Did you have
Your
something?
financial institution?
Definitely. Your financial institution. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about accounts-based referral network or accounts-based business. Does anybody know what I mean by that when I say accounts-based business? So when you go to somebody that can send you business and you're not going to the individual person, but you're establishing a relationship with somebody that allows for them to continue to feed you with referrals, that's called an account, all right? That can be at your Home Depot because they know people that are fixing up their house to sell it. That can be at a local, attorney, somebody that's a bankruptcy attorney, probate attorney, divorce attorney. That can be a lender. You find you a lender partner or somebody that's willing to feed you with business. That can be any source of person that knows people who are going to need to purchase or people who are going to need to sell. Okay. So those are accounts that you establish relationships with, and you nurture those accounts so that they can then send you business. And you've done the work to establish it, nurture that relationship, and throughout the year, you continue to get business after business. Okay. So in terms of accounts, what are some thoughts about maybe something that I didn't say? Credit specialist, that's an excellent one. That's an excellent one. What about an HR department or relocation department? Somebody that knows military relocation. There you go. There you go. So there are different accounts, people that you can establish those relationships with. And all of this is about prospecting, but we're going to start being very targeted, right? So this being said, we're throwing out a lot of options and opportunities for you, but the goal is not for you to do all these things. It's to take one of these things and add it to the sphere of influence prospecting you're going to do. We just want to make sure that there's something that speaks to each and every last one of you. So you know that the opportunities are endless. It's not something that's limited, it's endless. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Could you guys hear Joy? That was a great idea. She said property managers at apartment complexes, because when people put in their notice, their 30 or 60-day notice that they have to leave, oftentimes they're going to be purchasing a home. So that sounds like that would be a great lead source. Okay. But whatever we do, we want to be specific to our target market and in the areas that we're looking, but we want to layer on some additional resource of referrals with our sphere of influence. Okay. Sphere of influence is first and foremost, because that's where your referrals are going to come from, and you're going to be able to close those very easily. and there's going to be a lot less competition. But this year is the year of progression, so we're going to be adding on to that with something else. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? What are some of your thoughts as we're going through this information? What's the first thing that comes to mind? What are some things that are just popping up? I know I've got your juices going.
Well,
And
the
you
one thing that comes to my mind is the fact that, you know, for those of us that are really doing what we're supposed to be doing in this pandemic and not just kind of flashing and floating all over the place, because I don't really go out as much, and I suspect everyone else is probably that way too. So I feel that it's definitely more opportunity to place phone calls.
And those are going to be some of your most productive. And that's what we said with our sphere of influence, and even the people that we're adding to our book of business. These are phone calls, right? You can go out and do prospecting. Absolutely. You can go to the grocery store when you go, the gas station when you go, wherever you go, prospect while you're out. But the vast majority of these, when we're talking about those 10 contacts per day, those are phone calls. So that's something that's doable. That's something that everybody can do whenever you set up your 220 days per year, whatever that looks like for you. That's something that everybody can accomplish with those phone calls. What else does that bring to mind for you guys? Does that help alleviate some of that access restraint that you felt, Talitha,
It
for some of the
does.
places?
Yes.
Mhm. So the key to that is going to be building relationships, right? So we have a couple things here in our sphere of influence slide that you can do to build relationships and nurture those relationships, things that are very people-centric. They're not necessarily business-centric, but they're people-centric, like reaching out to people, following up, seeing how they're doing. It's the top of a new year. This is the best time. The new year and the holiday season, those are the best times to get most people at home. They've been refreshed mostly from the holiday season, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, Happy New Year. Just wanted to check on you. How are you? How are you? How's the family? What are your goals for this year? What are your real estate goals for this year? My goal is to help 24. My goal is to help 12. My goal is to help 14. My goal is to help however many people to buy or sell their house this year. Do you know anyone that could use my help? Is there anybody that you know that I could be of service to? How do you guys feel about that simple conversation? Easy breezy. I love it. How do you guys feel about that?
Sounds
Great.
good.
Simple, not complicated, very simple, straightforward, straight to the point. So that's what we want to do. We want to be bold and courageous and have those conversations, make those calls, and not be afraid of success. It is knocking at everybody's door, and this is our year for every last one of our agents to go to new levels and to progress in your real estate business, and that's how it's going to happen. Mr. Porter says something on Realty Talks today that I want to share with you guys a little bit of background and insight to. He was talking about how he's had a couple of former clients who he helped in the process, and for one reason or another, they lost contact, and next thing you know, they were sneaking around with another agent. I'm going to tell you, one of those people, he got 2 other deals out of. What he was talking about today is effective. He got 2 deals that he closed out of one of those people. Another one of those people invited us to her open house. She felt bad. She know he helped her get started, helped her work on her credit, helped her to get her pre-approval and all these different things, connected her with a lender. And then she ended up letting somebody else woo her away. She invited us to her open house as her realtor friends, while her other realtor was the one who sold her the house. And we got business from her open house. Got business from her open house. So Mr. Porter, what he was sharing today is very effective. So I want for us to be bold and courageous. If you feel squeamish, put that to the side. That's 2021. Okay, be bold and courageous, and do not be afraid of success, because your competitors out there, they're not worried about whether or not, you know, they're not worried about the same thing. So we got to make sure that we're bold and courageous, not worry about Oh, well, am I calling this person too much? Am I texting them too much? I reached out to them last week. They didn't follow up. I'll give them another couple months and see if they call me back. No way. In that another couple of months, they bought a house already. Okay. So be diligent and persistent and follow up with people until you get a response.
Well, you know what I had, I you all
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
remember we did.
Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Got it. So how many referrals did you get out of her? Welcome, Carmon. How many referrals did you get out of her? Because you helped her immensely.
But still, you know, you know, for some of the people that, they, you know, that, you know, the way they live, you know, their whole life, they, you know, become, so it's why we don't think about it more.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, we're not going to give them an excuse. If they creep out the back door and they're working with somebody else, you're still going to come through the front door and say, hey, I thought we had, agreed. I was helping you. I was going to be your agent, and you're going to do what Mr. Porter said. You're going to ask them for referrals anyway. Ask them for referrals. And if anything, if they made a commitment to you, verbal or in writing, they had a commitment. Call them to the carpet on that. Hey, congratulations on your new home. I'm so glad you settled. I was looking forward to being able to help you through that process. Glad you made it there. Do you know anybody else that could use my help? Okay. So Darlene is bringing up a point that Mr. Porter was talking about earlier. She was talking about maybe some reasons why some people kind of, slip through the back door. She was bringing up, could you guys hear her at all? If not,
No, I
No.
couldn't.
she's talking about a former client that she worked with and sold the property to. And then that property the client had a listing that they wanted to sell, but because they were a hoarder, they didn't want for her to see it. They were embarrassed, so they ended up working with somebody else. So how would you guys handle that situation? That they've already listed it with somebody else, and you previously had conversations with them about listing it. How would you handle that situation? And I want you to keep in mind what Mr. Porter was saying today.
I can't speak on it because I didn't hear I wasn't on today.
All right, somebody who was on today. Talita.
I would, I would express how much I helped them, and I was looking forward to helping them with that, with their transaction. And I would ask them for referrals.
Definitely.
He was, yeah, he was pretty aggressive with that today. And I guess you just have to be aggressive with it, letting them know how disappointed you are that you couldn't help them after the work that you put into it.
And let them repay you with referrals.
Yes.
That's a great equalizer. Maybe they went somewhere else, but they give you transactions that close. Oh, it is well, not a problem. All right.
And
But
and
go ahead. You have something, Rhonda?
and one thing that I learned, I actually, because I don't know if anyone on the call knew this, but I used to sell life insurance some years ago. So a lot of the same tactics can overflow into real estate as well. And I remember my manager teaching me, she said, Rhonda, don't be afraid to walk away from a business deal, because a lot of times when people kind of feel like you're pressed, they use that to their advantage, and you want to flip it and make sure it works to your advantage and show the confidence. And with that being said, I had a person, and I've only had a few deals under my belt so far, but already I had a person that had told me, knew that I had worked on this person's deal, and that person had talked about how well I did. And this was actually from my first client, but she decided to go somewhere else. And because I called her and everything, and she was like, oh, well, I just decided to go somewhere else, a person that's been doing it for years. And, it's a friend of the family. And I said, okay, no worries, and basically told her good luck. I said, I'll talk to you. I mean, I literally said to her, and the look on her face was kind of priceless. I literally said to her, well, I'll talk to you, in a few months, like that. And she kind of didn't know where that was going. And then, sure enough, I received a phone call from her on Sunday, because this real estate agent that she's been knowing for years, that's been in the business for years, that person is not doing her right. So now she's looking to come under me.
That's good. That's good. That's excellent in terms of your follow-up. Thank you for sharing that. I'll give you guys a quick testimonial too. We had a seller client, right? And this seller client, we did the market analysis, and every now and again, you will get a difficult one that you have to work with for some time. And depending on your relationship with them, you may decide either to take the listing or not take the listing. This is somebody that we have a great affinity for, personal relationship and all that good stuff. So we were willing to go through that painstaking process. That being said, they wanted to list the property at a price that was nowhere in line with what the market was saying because of their emotional connection to the property. So we had this conversation. We're like, this is what the market is commanding. If you price it at this price point, then we will be able to get you under contract within this amount of days. No, well, I want to start at this price. We are well above the market, you know what I mean? So it took them marketing the property well above list price, which is no fun for, me, of course, but because of our relationship, I was willing to be patient and go through that with this person. This person, very high regard, VIP client to the max, you know what I mean? So it took us listing the property, then they had to bring it down, then they took it off the market, relisted it. Now they took from last, I think, May up until a week or two ago, trying to sell it on their own. And now they came back to us. They came back to us. They went with the price that we told them from the beginning. We put it on the market as coming soon. Not even 2 days, a day after it was on the market for coming soon, we had a full price offer on that property with all the perks and all these things with it. Then they said, okay, well, we have the other property that we were talking about. We've been trying to sell that one on our own too. They did exactly what we said, listed it at the price that we said. Now we have another cash offer coming on that home as well. But why am I saying that? She ventured off. They didn't, heed our instructions at that time. But what did I do? I continued to follow up with them. Hey, just checking on you. How you doing? I was thinking about you. Happy birthday. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. How are you? How's the family? And just through continuing that conversation and those touches on our sphere of influence, she came right back around. And she said, Jasmine, I'm not going to lie. We tried to sell property on our own, and we knew that that's what she was going to do. We're not born yesterday, you know what I mean? But it came back to us because we kept that line of communication consistent. We reached out to them, and maybe she understood that as a part of my prospecting activity, right? It's genuine because I really want to know how she is. It's genuine because I completely value her as a person in that relationship, but it's also business. And because it's business, we've got to be consistent with that prospecting no matter where they are. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because y'all got people that you've spoken with in the past that said that they wanted to buy, that said that they wanted to sell, that said that they would call you about real estate, that said they wanted investment properties, that said they wanted to get into real estate. Those are people that are a part of your pipeline, and those are the people that you need to add. So in these calls that we're talking about to your referral network and your sphere of influence, those are people that you need to make sure that you're calling and you're reaching out to, and you're touching them, whether they're ready now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or next year, because that's how you build your pipeline. So that we're January 2021 now, you following up with people like that. Next thing you know, by the time you get to spring, you have all of these clients because you followed up with them consistently. Maybe they weren't ready now, but if you show that diligence and that persistence over time, it will yield results. Come on, did you have something to say? Mhm. Mhm. That's right.
You know, and I'm not even be mad that you didn't use me for the question of the overseas first. You would say something like that, make it funny, make it good, but be very serious.
Mhm.
But and one of the things, because I know sometimes when you put a lot of work in, a lot of work in, find something not to. I've gone and I'm good news is because I listened to the reporter, I got to so I was okay with that. I was okay with that. But the challenge was I was going an hour away
Mhm.
and this was someone supposed to be.
I remember that client. Mhm.
But I and his mother and
Mhm.
and I had to see him again. And I was fine. He was like, not one is
Mhm.
I'm good. All things went together good. So I think I could have probably was like, but I did not run it. Telling me this like I don't do everybody
Mhm.
that we go after. We got wins, we got battle scars, we got all that stuff, you know. If you're looking at the picture now, it looks like you walk out there and just says hello and they say, okay, we're outside.
Mhm.
But it's a lot. And but the thing is
That is so important. As you heard Mr. Porter talking about aggressively today on Realty Talks, he's going to hold their feet to the fire. If they've gone somewhere else, they're going to give them referrals. But Kermon pulled out a very important element. I'm not sure if you guys could hear him online. He said, no matter what we're doing, you're not going to burn the bridge. So yeah, you're calling them and you're aggressively asking for referrals. No, we're not going to restart now. Remind me later. Cooperate, computer. Sometimes we got to talk to this thing. But don't burn that bridge, right? One of the people, actually, I would say the majority of the people that we know that have bought properties from other people, we have given them a settlement gift, a card, or a housewarming gift on purpose. They didn't even purchase from us, but we're going to find a way to celebrate them. We're going to find a way to sow some type of seed. And we are absolutely going to ask them for referrals, but we're going to show them that we are genuinely excited because at the end of the day, they became a homeowner, and that's a part of our mission. We want for people to be homeowners. We want for people to be able to sell. We want to help them reach their goal, and that has to be a genuine foundational principle. So because of that, we can celebrate their success. Hold their feet to the fire, ask them for referrals, okay? Does anybody have any thoughts about that? What do you guys think when you hear us talking about that in terms of past clients that maybe didn't close or past clients that have closed with somebody else? What are some of your thoughts?
I know after this, and their life mentality,
Mhm.
you know, and I'm saying to myself, okay, and I don't know, I'm like, okay, I'm swinging, but my
Your eyes closed. I heard you say I'm swinging with my. I heard you.
So I'm not, and I guess get there. I can be bold, but I don't, you know, I'm not at the aggression part, you know, I'm bold, you
Mhm.
know, it's like, you know, granted, you can be with someone, and I know I dealt with several people, it's like, you know, really challenging. You talk to them,
Mhm.
you see them, conversation
Mhm.
with them. So, you know, feeling aggressive, but
Mhm.
I can't move, but you know, I might.
Darling, I'm not gonna take that from you. I hear you, but I'm not taking it. I'm not buying it. I'm tossing it out. Listen, your personality is golden. Use your personality. Okay. What you hear Mr. Porter doing, he's using his personality.
Right. Oh,
It works for him. So your personality, girl, I'm happy for you, but what's your problem? You know, you're supposed to be working with me. That's your personality.
That is my personality.
That is very palatable, right? Because it's genuine, it's real, and that person would feel it. Because if they know you, they would expect that you would say something like that. And if we're not being genuine, they're gonna know, oh, she was probably mad. Let me avoid her. Let me go over here. He's walking in. Let me hold my head down. We don't want to make people run and duck for cover. We want to be genuine. So in being aggressive, we're not talking about being offensive, but you certainly don't want to be passive aggressive. You don't want to make comments to make people feel uncomfortable. You want to be, well, what's your problem? What happened? You know, where are we supposed to be working together? You know, what did they do? How did they woo you away from me? You know, what was it, the perfume? What happened here? You gotta use your personality. And all of us have individual, unique personalities. And the people that know you, they're gonna expect that from you. And they'll appreciate it when you're genuine from that perspective and not holding back the things that you didn't say, because now that becomes a point of contention, conversation they're trying to, avoid. Use what God gave you, your personality, and say it, of course, in love, but you're being upfront. So when I say aggressive, that's upfront in your style of communication, and use what God gave you to get that point across. All right, girl. Now I'm gonna let you go. I'm happy for you, but you owe me a couple of referrals. You know?
You're right.
But you gotta use what you got. All of us, you have a
What are you talking about? Yeah, you're right.
and that's for each and every last one of us. Your style might be different and will be different from Mr. Porter's styles. We all have different styles, but you can still accomplish the same goal. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be an identical, mimicking of somebody else's style. You can take the pointers and the wisdom and draw from that and use it and make it your own. So you have your own personality shine through. Because Mr. Porter, he's a big joker. So he'll be able to go and joke with people about things. Whereas 9 times out of 10 with me, I play a lot, but people take me a lot more seriously. So if I try to tell a joke, they don't understand it's a joke. They think I'm being serious. So therefore, I'm not going to go forward with the joke from that same perspective. I'm going to come based on my personality. You know what I mean? So I want you guys to be comfortable in your own skin. And when you are, that's going to shine through in people with your conversation. But be genuine and be upfront and just know that, hey, they made a commitment to you that they didn't satisfy. All right, now you owe me. Okay? So, and people, that's a human thing. We understand that. Because they will know that if they didn't do what they had agreed to do, they already feel like they owe you something anyway, because they feel like they took something from you. They feel like they were sneaking, hiding, ducking, running, or something like that. So it gives them an opportunity actually to come to the carpet and to come with a clean conscience, because now they've had a chance to repay something. So now you can have a conversation with them and you can have a relationship with them on level ground, so that they don't have to be ducking and hiding every time they hear your name. So use your personality, be direct, be upfront, be, assertive with what you're going to say, the way that it works for you. All right. What are your guys' thoughts about that? Does anybody have anything else to add to that? All right, so each and every last one of us, I need for you guys to, so you're gonna have in your business plan for this year, you have to have groups of people for your prospecting, right? Because these are the people that you're gonna follow up with. And we've just talked about where those sources for those prospects are gonna come from, but you're gonna group them in listing clients, buyer clients, listing prospects, buying prospects, and recruits. Okay, so go back through all of your book of business, your notes, your phone, past conversations, the storage that's right up here in your mind, and think about all those people that you've had conversations with. Who was that person that worked at the Safeway that said her mother needed to sell a home? Who was that person that I met at Starbucks that said that they wanted to build a new home? Who was that person? Go back and just dissect some of that information. And I want you guys to come up with a list for those prospects. The most obvious ones are the first two, because those are your listing clients and your buying clients. Those are people that you already have brokerage agreements with. But I guarantee you that you guys have listing prospects and buying prospects, probably more than you've ever even considered. Because if you're doing any bit of having conversations with people on a regular basis, like we are going to be steadfast to do this year, you're going to come across leads quite often. And every time you come across one of those leads, they need to be up on that board, listing prospect, buying prospect, until you convert them to buying client and listing client. Okay, so this is how you're going to govern your leads that you're generating, and then you're going to put them in your book of business. But you need to have them before you every day and keep up with them so that they don't slip through the cracks and you don't have to get all sister girl on them, okay? It's much easier to just walk them through the process because they stay top of mind and you followed up with them on a weekly basis than playing catch up. But either way, be effective and just be very straightforward in that. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns? All right, then I am gonna stop with this portion, this segment of our training for this evening. We have just a little while more. I promised that we would jump into business planning because several of you had some things that you wanted to dissect a little bit more thoroughly. So I will go ahead and transition. I'm gonna stop this recording. And we'll pick back up with this next Thursday.